Hi everyone! In previous videos, I showed how we can make a 3D character invisible, or rather hidden behind a cloaking field, both using a classic shader and its visual counterpart. However, some of you may be wondering how to actually get such an animated 3D character model into a Godot 4 project and how to control its movement. That's what today's video will be about. First, we need to obtain a suitable 3D character, both the model and selected animations for its movement in our game. There are multiple sources that can provide something like this, but I have favored Mixamo by Adobe for its simplicity and universal usage. To be able to download anything, it's necessary to create a free account. I already have one, so I'll log in right away. Okay, continue with Google. And we are in. And the list of animations opened because this is where I left off on this page last time. Do you recognize this guy? Yes, I used this exact model in previous videos to demonstrate cloaked material. Of course, if you don't like this model, you can choose any other. Let's switch to the characters page. All of these characters are humanoid, which means they share the same skeleton, sometimes enlarged or scaled down, and you can apply all the animations available on Mixamo for humanoids, that is, two-legged models. If we wanted something different, such as a four-legged animal, like a dog or a cat, we would need to upload our own model, here, upload character, and set new skeleton parameters. I haven't tried this option, but it sounds quite appealing, so I might test it sometime in the future. Alright, let's say we've chosen this model. We could click on download and get it right away, but it would give us only the model without animations. So let's click on the animations page. As we can see, if I scroll down, the animation library is quite extensive, 52 pages, so if I'm counting correctly, there should be nearly 2,500 options for moving our character. Mixamo makes it easier for us to choose by categorizing animations, and we can narrow down the results by clicking on the search box and selecting one of the checkboxes, for example, combat. So now we should see only combat-related animations here. But the list of results is still quite long, so it might be easier to search for specific animations. Let's deselect this and try entering, for example, locomotion. Okay. That looks better. And as we can see, we can choose both individual animations and animation packs. Our character is male, so let's try the male locomotion pack. Here it is, for instance. And the animation started playing automatically. Since our character moved out of the frame, we'll click on the camera icon here, which will start following him. So now it seems to be in some kind of idle status. Now it's jumping, walking, turning around, and so on. However, it might be easier to start with a basic animation and gradually add more. So let's try searching for walk instead and select one of the results. Walk. Okay. How about this one? Yeah, something like a zombie. Let's try something better. This looks more like a female, I guess. This could be standard walking. Yeah, perfect. Notice that for animations that change the model position, you can check the checkbox in place. If we do it, the character will stay in place. This is one of the options to make it easier to control the character in Godot later, so we'll use it. It's time to download our animated model. Let's click on Download and leave the default values for all parameters, so it would be FBX binary with skin 30 frames per second and no keyframe reduction. We'll click Download again and let's wait, it shouldn't take long. Yeah, it's already being downloaded, and we will get a single file with the name Walking FBX. Here it is. I think it would be good to have at least 2 animations so that we can demonstrate in Godot how the character transitions from idle to walking and vice versa. So we'll repeat the previous process, and this time we'll search for the keyword idle. And which one? Let's try this one. Yeah, looks pretty fine. So again, we will click on Download and Download, and another file will be downloaded. It should be called idle FBX. Let's wait for it and check. Yeah, everything is here. Let me repeat the process once more, and this time we'll add a running animation just to have it complete. So I think this looks like standard running. Again, we'll select in place, click download and wait for it. Preparing, just a moment. Now it's being downloaded. Great. So that should be enough for Mixamo for now. As we know, Godot does not include an FBX importer. So if we wanted to use these files directly, we would have to convert them first using the command line tool like FBX to GLTF. However, since we still want to make some minor adjustments before using them in Godot, it will be easier to import the FBX into Blender and export the result as GLTF. Let's open Blender. So I'm opening Blender and we'll create a new scene. Press A to select all and X to delete all. Now we will import the FBX files we exported from Mixamo. So it's File, Import, FBX, our folder Downloads, and I'll select all 3 models and animations and press Import FBX. It is finally here, and as you can see, all 3 animations are located at the same place, so we will do some adjustments first. Let's select all armatures except the first one and press X to delete. Now it looks a bit funny, but don't mind that. We will get rid of these extra meshes by selecting all body parts in the remaining armature and delete them with X. This is much better. By the way, it's very important to make sure that the model is correctly oriented. It seems that it's not, because it should definitely face that way and it's looking this way. So let's fix it. Select the armature and change the Z rotation by 180. Now it's looking at the right direction. And one last thing, let's select Object, Apply and Rotation. And we can see that the rotation has been reset to 0, 0, 0, but the model is still fixed. This is very important. This small detail will save us from later issues in Godot, where we would need to manually fix rotations and later deal with inconsistent character transformations in scenes. So it's definitely worth it to always check that the Y on this gizmo is pointing backwards, not forward. Okay, so now this is settled. Let's switch to the animation page, and in this drop-down menu, let's select and choose Action Editor. So now we have all 3 animations here in this drop-down menu, and since their names are not too descriptive, let's rename them. Click, and the first one is probably, most likely, idle. Let me just zoom to make sure. second one, it looks like walk, and the third one is run. If you are not certain, you can simply drag this point and see the animation in action. So it's running, switching to walk, it's walking, and switching to idle, it's just standing and with some slow motion animations. So it's correct. I guess that's all we had to do in Blender, so let's export the result. File, export, and audio GLTF 2.0. I'll select the same folder so I can easily find it afterwards and name it a character GLB. Export. Okay, so we finished our Blender part, and once the export is completed, I will close Blender and continue in Godot. So let's open Godot and create a new project. I'll find my folder here. I think it's somewhere here. Yeah, Godot, select Control, and let's call it third person controller. Create folder. Okay, everything else is correct. Let's create and edit. Now I'll create a new 3D scene, and let's rename it to, for example, main, and save it as main TSCN. Okay. Now, we need something for our character to stand on, so I'll add a simple box as a static body 3D and create an improvised floor from it. Right-click on main, add child node, and it's static body 3D. Okay, it's obviously missing a mesh instance 3D and also a collision shape 3D. So let me start with the mesh. Add child node and mesh instance 3D. Okay, and to make it a flat floor, we need a box mesh, I mean. Let's click it again and select a size. 100 meters should be okay. Let's keep it at 1 meter here and 100 meters at the Z coordinate. All right. And finally, of course, we need a collision shape, so the character interacts with it and doesn't fall through. Add child node, collision shape 3D, and again it would be a box shape 3D. Click and add the same dimensions, 100, 100. All right. And of course, we want the floor to be at the origin. So since the width, the height is 1 meter, and the origin of the model is in the middle of the model, we need to put it down by half a meter. That's negative 0.5, and it is at the origin. Perfect. And to make the floor a little bit better looking, let's quickly add a simple material. So I'll open the material maker and find some kind of floor tiles. File material from the website. Let's look for floor. Okay, gray floor tiles. This looks good. File, export material, Godot, and Godot for standard. Same folder, and I'll call it floor. Save. Okay, we can close material maker, and let's prepare a folder for the materials. Folder materials selected, and I'll find the exported files. Here they are, all 4 of them, the material and 3 textures. Everything must be imported at the same folder. Drag it to materials, and we have our material here. So if I select mesh instance 3D, the material property is empty, and I can simply drag the material to it. Well, it definitely doesn't look like the small tiles we expected, so we have to click the material and find, yeah, UV1 is the right property, and triplanar. Set to on. Now it's much better. Great. So I guess, let's save it, Control S. It's time to import our character. Let me create one more folder. That would be models. Select, where is it? Down here. Select and drag our character GLB into that. So it's being imported. It probably takes some time because I noticed that the file has over 55 megabytes, so Godot needs to parse it and create all kinds of resources and other metadata. Let's wait for it. And once the model is imported, we will first import it again, because something must be done before we create a new scene out of that. So, where it is? Here it is. I'll double click character GLB, which opens the import character import dialog, and I'll select the animations first, idle, and let's change the loop mode to linear. We'll do the same for run and walk. Last time I didn't do that. I had a problem setting up the loops in the animation player and animation tree. So maybe I did something wrong, but I guess that since we definitely want these animations to be looped anyway, this cannot hurt. And click re-import, which should be much faster this time. And there we go. Let's right-click the character GLB and new inherited scene. So let's proceed. We need to change the root node to character body 3D. So let's change type and character body 3D. And of course, character body 3D requires a collision shape 3D. Let's add it as a child node, collision shape 3D. And this time I think that the capsule shape 3D would be okay. I mean, it's not definitely accurate, and at a later phase you can add more shapes to cover the hands and legs and head and anything else, but for now I think we can do just fine with that. Let me just put it to the right side and click. Perhaps the height could be a little lower, 1.5. No, 1.7. Is that okay? Yeah, mostly. Put it a little bit down. Yeah, sure, why not? All right, Control S to save, and save it as character TSCN. Okay, now we need to add a node 3D for the camera to look at. So I will add it as a new child node. And node 3D, there it is. Let's put it up. Okay, and in front of the face, and I'll call it look at. Good. So we have animation player with the animations that we already imported. All of them are here: idle, run, and walk. And to handle the transformations between these states, these animations, we will use the animation tree. So right-click character, new child node, animation tree. Here it is. And the animation tree requires some basic settings, tree root, that we will create as a new animation node state machine, and we will set the anim player to our animation player that was already created automatically by Godot, and we can already see that there is some default graph with start and end. We will later add other animations and relations between them. Okay, and it's inactive. Let's select to make it active. Very well. Okay, I think it's time to add our character to the main scene. Let's switch to main scene, and I'll find character TSCN. Here it is, and drag it to the main scene. Yeah, There it is. And it's standing on the floor. Everything is correct. I think we can put it to the origin to just to have it in origin, which is always a good idea. There it goes. Yeah, looks fine. And I guess we will proceed with setting up the animations and writing the script to control the character. Let's save it. So it seems the video is already long enough. It should have about 20 minutes by now. So I will stop here and do the rest in the part 2. Take care and see you soon.